So recently at work, we got this Cummins head job in, and we didn't have the tools for the injector cup, so we ended up getting the Ferrum Tools. Now, this thing showed up, it has no instructions, so this is going to be a quick little how-to because I did a lot of searching and couldn't find anything on the internet as far as instructions on how to actually do this properly. So as you can see here, it's just a blue box it shows up in. It's got all the tools in it. The removal is pretty self-explanatory. There's a tap in the smaller blue box, and then the puller, which works like any other puller. Once you get a couple of threads in the old cup, you can use the puller, just tighten the nut and keep the center shaft tight, and it pulls the cup out. The harder part here that didn't make sense at first is how these cups go in, because they got this weird taper on the nose of the cup that is supposed to seat into all these grooves you can see down at the bottom of the bore in there. The first thing you're going to need to do is make sure that you get this thing wire brushed really clean. I ended up taking like a mandrel extension and putting a wire brush for like a cordless drill into it and sticking it down in there and moving it all around until I could get it absolutely clean down in all those little grooves. There's also an O-ring in there that you can just barely see, and you need to check that because there might be a little debris of old cup left over in the form of a little tiny copper ring that you need to dig out. Once you have that stuff all clean, you can install a new O-ring. I use just light oil. It just says lubricate is pretty sure all you gotta really worry about there. Again, these O-rings are really kind of a pain in the butt to get down in there because they want to fold and drop through, but with a little bit of work with some picks you can get them in there no problem. Just to aid with holding a little bit of sealer, I did wire brush the nose of the cups. I don't know that this is actually required. I had, two of them seal up, one that I didn't wire brush and one that I did wire brush. I ended up wire brushing the rest of them just because I felt like that little bit of texture was going to hold the sealer better. The big thing is you need to have sealer on these things. Iron Tight also makes a tool. It's like twice as expensive, but it's also probably a much, much better tool. This is the sealer that they use with theirs. Honestly, this stuff starts tacking up and is kind of like gluing the cup in a matter of 15-20 minutes, and then it cures over 12 hours. This is the part number down there in the corner. You can coat the whole tapered nose and coat all of those grooves down in the bottom. I ended up using just like a little foam brush in order to do that. Put the cup in with the installation and driving tool. Just tap it in with a hammer. All it's got to do is get down to the bottom. Hitting any harder isn't going to do any good for you. And as you can see here, this is with it fully down. It kind of looks like it's not quite all the way down, but it is hitting on the tapers, so that's really all the farther you need to go with it. This is the part that gets a little weird with the Ferrum Tools one, is you got this taper head screw. You need to put this in. I added the washer just to not mess up the deck of the head since it's already been decked. Bolt that cup in there tight. And this is so that it doesn't get stuck to the burnishing tool, because otherwise you'll burnish it and the cup will pop right back out. So this tool is definitely a head removed, can't do it on the engine type of thing. Now you can put the burnishing tool in. This actually, you do need to tap this in with a hammer, because as you push it in, it won't quite go all the way. You need to tap the little burnishing end pass through to get it to bottom out. It's got a shoulder on it, so it will bottom out at the correct height. Then you can tighten up that center bolt, which then flares the end out to burnish. It should give it about a turn and a half or 2 turns before it bottoms out, at which point you can take a wrench, put it on the body, and then spin the body around to make a circular burnish around the whole cup. A couple of revolutions there, go back, check the center one, make sure it's actually bottomed out all the way still and wasn't just getting tight on you. And then you can back it off, and I had a real problem trying to get mine out. I had to basically use a puller or just kind of get a wrench around the threads and use that top nut and kind of hammer it back out. It was really kind of a pain in the butt. It's just not great. And this is how your cup should look when it's done. You can see that little that mark down in the bottom is from the flush mount taper screw, because the tapers don't actually match, but maybe that's part of helping mash those grooves into the taper on the between the cup and the head. And then you can see the burnish mark up towards the top, which is right about where that O-ring groove is. So I'm pretty sure what that's doing is that's burnishing it into the O-ring groove to help lock it in place. And you can see where our cup looks like it pulled down just a little bit more from the screw, but it's, you know, it's not supposed to be flush. It's just supposed to work out and look that way.